Hey everyone, and welcome back to Gambling Flow. We bring you the best gambling facts and stories every day, and I'm Russell Kane, your host for this deep dive, and of course I'm joined by Fiona Blake, our expert.
Happy to be here, Russell. Always love to unpack some gambling mysteries with you.
Well, I think we've got a good one today. It's something you see every time you watch poker, but probably haven't thought much about.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's hear it.
It's the color of the poker table. Why green? Is that just some random choice, or is there something deeper going on?
Ooh, that IS a good one. Actually, there's a lot more to it than you might think. We've been looking into this, and it's a mix of history, practicality, and even a little bit of psychology all rolled into one.
All right, well, let's start with the history then. Where did this green felt tradition even come from?
So believe it or not, we've got to go all the way back to billiards to find where it started. Way back in the 19th century, billiard tables were covered in this green baize cloth.
Baize cloth.
Yeah, it's this kind of tightly woven felt. It was perfect for billiards because it made a smooth surface for the balls to glide on.
Makes sense. And the green.
Well, back then, that green color was supposed to mimic the look of grass outdoors, bringing a bit of the outdoors in. It was supposed to make the game feel more familiar and calm.
Ah, so they were bringing the outdoors in.
Yeah.
Interesting. But how did this billiard tablecloth make the jump to poker tables?
Well, it seems like that same baize cloth eventually ended up on poker tables, too. Probably for similar reasons, that smooth surface was good for cards sliding across. And, the green color was already associated with billiards and just leisure activities. So it became familiar in gambling halls.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's also that rumor that's been around forever that the green baize helped to hide gambling notes if the cops raided a game. Is there any truth to that?
There's probably some truth to that. Think about it back then when gambling was illegal a lot of the time and had to be kept secret. People needed ways to hide evidence fast if the police showed up.
Makes sense.
So picture a dimly lit backroom poker game. A green baize cloth would make those scribbled notes on cards or whatever people were using way harder to spot.
So the green was like a secret weapon. Practical for the game, but also a potential shield against prying eyes. That's really cool. But why is green still the main color for poker tables today? It's not like casinos are getting raided these days.
That's true. But casinos are very, very deliberate about the environments they create. Everything is chosen for a reason, and the color green is no exception.
I bet.
There's a whole science behind why even today casinos stick with green felt. It turns out that green has some unique qualities that make it perfect for those long poker sessions.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's so special about green that makes it the king of the poker table?
Well, first of all, green is really easy on the eyes. There's actually research that shows that it reduces eye strain, which is a big deal when you're focused on a game for hours at a time.
So green is like a visual energy drink for poker players.
Haha, you could say that. And green as a background color is great because it doesn't steal the show. It lets the focus stay on the cards, the chips, and the player's expressions, not on a distracting table color.
Yeah, that makes sense. A bright pink or neon orange table would probably be a bit much.
Exactly. Green keeps things calm and focused. But there's more to the green story than just that casinos are in the business of enticing players, creating that buzz and excitement. How does green fit into that?
That's a great question. It can't just be about eye strain, right?
Exactly. And this is where the psychology of color comes in. In Western cultures, green is strongly associated with money, wealth, prosperity. Think dollar bills, stock market charts, even the phrase making green.
So even subconsciously, the color green is suggesting winning to the players. That's clever.
It is. And beyond the money connection, green is also connected with feelings of growth moving forward, like a green light to take action or place that bet.
Wow, so green is sending all these subtle messages of good fortune and success to the players. It's like a psychological nudge to keep them in the game.
Exactly. And it's a good example of how much thought casinos put into designing every part of their environment to influence how people behave, often in ways we don't even realize. But you know something? The rise of online casinos has actually changed this green landscape a bit.
Oh, how so?
Well, we're seeing a lot more use of bolder colors and themes in the digital world. Online casinos are all about creating this visually exciting and engaging experience.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen some pretty wild designs online. So is this the beginning of the end for the classic green felt?
It's hard to say for sure. Online casinos definitely want to create that visually exciting experience, which often means using bright colors and themes. But for a lot of players, I think that classic green felt is still really powerful. It represents tradition, authenticity, and a connection to the history of the game.
It's like the difference between reading a book on your tablet and holding an actual physical, well-worn copy. Both are great. But there's something special about that tangible connection to the past.
Absolutely. But, I think it's worth digging a little deeper into this contrast between online and real-life casinos.
I agree. It'll be fascinating to see what we find.
It's fascinating to think about how much goes into creating those environments that you walk into at a casino.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just about the games themselves. It's about the whole experience they create.
Exactly. Casinos are basically masters of something called environmental psychology. They really carefully design every little detail from the lighting to the music to even the scents and the layout all to keep you engaged and playing.
I know, I've definitely felt that kind of buzz when I walk into a casino.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's almost like stepping into a different world with all these sights and sounds pulling you in.
That's exactly what they're aiming for. They want to give you that sense of excitement and anticipation, the feeling that anything could happen. Like, take the lighting, for instance. You almost never see bright fluorescent lights in a casino.
Now that you mention it.
Instead, they use that soft, warm lighting, often with spotlights, to highlight certain areas, like the gaming tables and the slot machines.
So it's like being on a stage with the games as the stars of the show.
Yes, exactly. And just like a good play needs a soundtrack, casinos use music to kind of set the mood and enhance the whole experience. Think about the music you usually hear in a casino. It's always upbeat, energetic, maybe even a little hypnotic.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. That constant background music definitely creates a sense of energy and momentum.
And there's a reason for that. Studies have actually shown that this type of music can make people more likely to take risks.
Really?
Yeah, so while you're tapping your foot to the beat, you might be more inclined to place that extra bet without even realizing it.
Wow, that's subtle but effective.
Yeah,
I never thought about it that way before. Like they're soundtracking your gambling experience to keep you playing.
exactly. And it's all about making that environment stimulating but also comfortable. And it goes beyond just the lights and music. Casinos even use scents to influence your mood.
Scents. Really? I always thought those were just air fresheners to cover up the cigarette smoke.
Well, that might have been true in the past, but these days casinos are way more sophisticated about how they use scents. They use what's called ambient scenting, which is basically pumping in subtle fragrances that are designed to make you feel certain ways.
So like what kind of scents are we talking about here?
They often use things like floral or citrus scents, which research has shown can actually have a calming effect and promote feelings of well-being.
So they're not just trying to create a buzz, they're also trying to make you relaxed and comfortable.
Hmm.
So you'll stay longer and play more.
You got it. It's about finding that sweet spot between stimulation and relaxation. They want you to feel good, feel lucky, and keep playing.
It's pretty amazing how much psychology goes into designing a casino. It seems like they've really thought of everything.
They have. And this careful planning goes beyond just the general casino floor. Think about the difference in atmosphere between a busy slot machine area and a high-stakes poker room.
Oh yeah, too.
Right. The vibe is totally different in those areas. Slot machine areas are designed to be bright, loud, fast-paced, with all those flashing lights and sounds constantly grabbing your attention. They want to create that energy and excitement and encourage people to bet impulsively.
And what about those near misses they program into the machines? Aren't those designed to keep you hooked?
Oh, absolutely. Those near misses are all about creating anticipation, making you feel like you're just one spin away from a big win, even if you're actually losing money. It's like they're dangling a carrot in front of you, making you chase that feeling of winning.
It's sneaky, but it definitely works. It makes you think, I was so close. Maybe next time.
Exactly. And all those near misses keep you engaged and playing longer than you probably planned.
It's like a whole psychological game within the game, isn't it?
It is. But even though casinos use all these tactics to their advantage, I think it's important to remember that gambling is ultimately a form of entertainment. And as long as you approach it with a balanced mindset, setting limits and playing responsibly, it can be a fun and enjoyable experience.
I totally agree. It's all about knowing the rules of the game, being aware of those psychological tricks, and most importantly, playing within your means.
Exactly. Like with anything in life, moderation and awareness are key. If you go into it understanding the risks and rewards, you could have a much better experience.
Well said. And with that, I think that's a perfect point to wrap up this part of our deep dive. Welcome back, everyone. We've been on quite the journey today, exploring the world of casinos and all the hidden meanings behind those green poker tables.
It really makes you think about how much goes into creating a casino, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And before the break, we were talking about how casinos use psychology and all these sensory cues to influence how people behave. It's pretty mind-blowing when you stop and think about it.
It is. And one thing we haven't touched on yet is the psychology of winning.
Mm.
Casinos are really good at making even small wins feel like huge
Oh,
victories.
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Those flashing lights and sounds when you hit a jackpot on a slot machine, it's almost impossible not to get caught up in the excitement.
Exactly. Those sensory cues trigger a rush of dopamine in your brain, which is that feel-good hormone. And that reinforces the positive feelings you associate with winning.
So it's like training your brain to want that winning sensation over and over again, making you want to keep playing to experience it again.
Kind of. And casinos also use something called near misses to keep people hooked.
Near misses, you mean like when the slot machine symbols almost line up, but then they just miss?
Exactly. Those near misses create a sense of anticipation and make you feel like you were so close to winning, even if you actually lost. It's like dangling a carrot in front of you to keep you chasing that win.
It's a pretty sneaky tactic, but it definitely works. It makes you think, I was this close, maybe next time.
Right. And all those near misses add up and they keep you engaged and playing longer than you might have planned.
So it really is like a whole psychological game going on within the game.
It is. But even though casinos use all these tactics to their advantage, I think it's important to remember that gambling is a form of entertainment. And as long as you approach it with a balanced mindset, set some limits for yourself, play responsibly, it can be a fun way to spend time.
I totally agree. It's all about knowing the rules of the game, being aware of those psychological tricks, and most importantly, not spending more than you can afford.
Exactly. Like anything else, moderation and awareness are key. You'll have a much better time if you go in understanding the risks and rewards.
Well said. So to wrap things up today for our listeners, what would you say is the most important thing to take away from our casino deep dive?
I think the biggest takeaway is that casinos are carefully designed to influence your behavior. From the green felt on the poker tables to the lighting and the music, everything is chosen for a reason.
So basically, knowledge is power, right?
Right. By understanding the psychology and the strategies that casinos use, you can make better decisions and have a safer and more enjoyable experience.
Great advice. And I think that applies to more than just casinos. It's always good to be aware of the things that influence us and to make conscious choices about how we want to respond to them.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, folks, I think that's about it for our deep dive into casinos and green poker tables. It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you today.
Likewise.
I'm Russell Kane.
And I'm Fiona Blake.
Make sure to subscribe to Gambling Flow, leave us a comment, and share this episode with your friends, especially if they love poker. We'll see you next time.